collage Notting Hill.
So
because again, we find our dots, but they're a bit more of the same color. And that for women, the war, are they Spitfires, maybe? And the whale, decode that.
Well, actually, the funny thing is that when I look at this picture, I'm looking at the triangles on the bottom because I've been doing a year-long project with a great collage collector called Laurie Kenyer, who is a psychologist, and she has written several books called Collage Care, and she believes that and demonstrates it through many exercises in her books that actually you can heal kind of everyday mental health problems by doing collage. And so I am going through all of the exercises in these two very long books over 52 weeks, and in order to really kind of understand what she's doing. And she amassed the biggest modern collage collection in Yakima, Washington State, and she has just handed it over to somebody in England to be the caretaker. I can tell you more about that. Anyhow, but one of the things that she does is she says choose a shape and have that on every one of your collages when you're doing the exercises, and so this shape, the triangle, and you can put it anywhere, and usually there's just one, and that means I'm very intentionally making this. I'm getting in the mindset of trying to solve my problem, and that has nothing to do with this. But I did think I really love that. I love the feeling of putting a triangle, in a picture as the beginning. And sometimes I put it and then it's gone. It gets covered or it's not there. But this time I felt like that it sort of looks like a banner. That this is like a street party. After the war is over. And I'm very positive and hopeful. It's a bunting, exactly. And I'm a very positive and hopeful person. And so I'm always looking past, the scary airplanes and the uniforms, and, and I'm looking off. This happens to be Australia, and, where, so it's just this sort of cut off, place, with
far away,
and and just kind of looking to, I don't know, just safe borders, and
it's also the northern part of Australia, because the part with all the big cities, Melbourne and Sydney, is down there, but it's covered by the whales. So we're clearly in the middle of nowhere in the north.
Yes. No, exactly. And I think, and it's funny because I probably in the past would have put all the planes going in the same direction, or kept that piece of paper all intact.
Two different bits there.
And so that gives it more of like a dream quality, and to a certain extent it's like, just don't ask, the flying whales, flying planes, this is your story. I can put it together, and you as the viewer, can turn it into whatever you want and claim it, and I don't mind.
I think the other one I want to look at, because it's also to do with those dots, and I've seen lots of these in some of your other collages where you'll have a row of dots, or like this, like that. And
so in the past, in this little series, I probably would have put them all around to make a neat frame, and as I said before, I'm trying to break through that perfect thing.
Organized.
Exactly. But this is very safe. And that's, partly it's because of this injured finger, I was attracted to that hand. And it was definitely on my desk for a long time before I found, a place for it here.
Yeah.
But it was partly because, I had broken my arm in January.
Yes.
And so I was, and that's a left hand, and I'm left-handed.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if it's to do with this is where you wear your wedding ring.
I know, and it's just so funny because when you were holding it, I thought, oh, she's going to say something about the wedding ring, and then I realized, yes, and I actually colored that in with acrylic ink pens.
Yeah,
that wasn't there. That was part of the bandage, and so I think that. I didn't make it that long ago. It's in the last month. I think partly it's related to the fact that I was so lucky that I had somebody looking after me when I was injured. I had actually, like in COVID, quite a good art experience because I couldn't cut, and you need two hands to cut, and I wasn't allowed to even hold a piece of paper. I had to just keep my arm immobilized, but I experimented in so many ways, and so I was actually in this room for hours a day still with my broken arm, practically unable to do anything. But I just sorted through my papers and tried to kind of find the images that I wanted and plan ahead, and I thought I was going to go through some massive change in my art. That didn't happen. Sometimes you get a brain tumor, it's taken out, and then you live your life the same way you did before it. And then some people decide to go to Tibet and completely throw everything up. So I didn't have some major change, but I did have a lot of time to think and look at my papers, and luckily throw some things away that I felt I no longer.
So to close this part of the conversation, I want to ask about, looking forward and what are, what's coming up for you, either practically exhibitions and things you're working on, or more, how you want to develop. You touched on it in terms of the stitching and experimenting.
Well, something along with not along with the stitching, but something else that I want to do is I did a lot of prints, as I said before, on my press, and then collaged on them. But what I've never done actually is make collages and then printed on top of the collage.
Okay.
Yes. So I do really want to try that because I think some interesting things could happen. That way. I don't know, jelly plates are something that I own one, but I haven't really experimented, and you can make a lot of, great images and take images and repurpose them and, turn them around and change their colors and stuff. And so, so I'd also like to use that. And I have, there's a book, the Book of Esther, story in Persia a million years ago about this brave woman who became a queen and saved her people. And so there are a lot of great images in that work, and I've decided to try and collage several, lots of collages about that. And so I went to the V&A, to the Mughal exhibition, and there's so many beautiful and I think the clothing and the having many different prints in the same
absolutely
it's kind of
but it works.
It really works. So I'm trying to figure out why that is.
So different prints, different types of images, but actually it's beautiful as a whole. I agree.
And so I'm definitely, and I'm just kind of interested in what's going on with these stories. It's so easy to pass them by and just say, oh yes, many figures in a court. But
it's always a very specific narrative.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to decode them.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and yes, I have a great book here. Well, actually, Persian miniature paintings and epic Iran. Yeah, so I think that
an incredible tradition of art.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Is it something where you're thinking you might publish a book?
I'm hoping that that's what the final
form will be.
Yes, exactly.